Hey guys, Mr. Gibson here. So this is your Explore 1 Formation of Ions assignment. And hopefully, you're all, good job for watching this video because this is really going to help you complete this assignment. I'd be willing to bet whoever doesn't watch this video would really struggle with this because it's not necessarily super difficult, but it can be tricky if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So this tells us that we can, these are the different columns or groups, vertical groups on the periodic table. And again, when we're talking about ions, we're talking about atoms that have an electric charge, either a positive charge or a negative charge, okay? So we can actually use the periodic table to predict what charge an atom will have based on where it falls on the periodic table. So I would get a periodic table pulled up like super fast, and from here on out, pretty much every assignment we do, you're probably going to need a periodic table because everything we do really does hinge on the periodic table from here on out. I don't know that you could complete this assignment without it. So go ahead and pause the video and get that pulled up if you need to. I recommend this one. It's ptable.com. It's also the first thing that pops up when you Google periodic table. It's also the periodic table linked in your interactive notebook. So it's very, very fancy. I really like it. Got all these cool settings here. So I'm going to show you something cool. If I were to give you an atom, like in activity number 2 down here, you can use the periodic table to determine its charge. If it is in group 1 or 1A, these are Roman numerals, okay? If it's in group 1A, which is right here, your alkali metals, it will always have a +1 charge, okay? If it is in group 2A, it's always going to have a +2 charge, okay? If it's in group 3A, it's always going to have a +3 charge. If it's in group 4A, it can have a plus or -4 charge, because the whole reason that these elements are wanting to have an electric charge in the first place is they are either gaining or losing electrons, okay? Positive charges mean that the atom has lost an electron. A negative charge is when an atom has gained electrons, okay? So the reason they're wanting to gain or lose electrons is because they want to be like the noble gases. The noble gases are stable. Their outer shell of electrons is full. They will never form ions. That's why over here, group 8A, they all have a charge of 0. The noble gases do, because they are neutral. They are stable. And every other element will try to gain or lose electrons so that they have the same number as the nearest noble gas to them. Okay? Metals are closer to the noble gas before them than they are to the noble gas after them. So calcium, if it wanted to have the same number of electrons as argon, it just has to lose 2. And when it loses electrons, that makes it positive, because electrons are negative. The analogy I like to use is whenever you have a friend who's just or someone in your life who's just really negative, and then that person is no longer in your life anymore, you become more positive. Okay, I don't know if that's a good analogy, but atoms are the same way. When they lose something that's negative, like an electron, it makes them more positive. So your elements that will lose electrons will become positive. Now over here, you've got elements that are really close to noble gases on this end. So like chlorine is only 1 space away from argon. It could lose 7 to be like neon, or it could just gain 1 to be like argon. So it's just going to gain 1. And when they gain negative particles, electrons, that makes them negatively charged. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let me get back to this. So over here, you've got all your positive ions, group 1A, 2A, 3A, and your positive ions are called cations, okay? Cations are a name for positive ions. Now on the right side here, group 5A, right here with nitrogen going down, they all have a -3 charge. Group 6A all have -2, 7A all have -1, and then group 8A, your noble gases, never have a charge. When they have a negative charge, we call them anions, A-N-I-O-N-S, anions. All right, so positive ions are cations, negative ions are anions. And so what you guys are going to do for this assignment, the first part is you are just going to write what the charge would be if these happen. So like if an atom lost 2 electrons or lost 6 electrons or gained 1 electron, what would the charge be? Okay, so let's walk through how to do just a couple of these to get you started. So an atom having lost 2 electrons. So if we lose electrons, that means that it's going to become positive because now it has more protons, which are positive, than it does electrons. So we know this is going to have a positive charge because we lost electrons. And now the question is, what is the value of its charge? Okay, we got to have a number with every charge. So it's positive. So the number is however many electrons it lost or gained. So it lost 2 electrons. So this is going to have a positive 2 charge. Okay? Now let's do one down here. It says an atom gained 1 electron. So if it's gaining electrons, electrons are negative, so that's going to make the atom negative. So we know it's going to have a negative charge. Now the question is, what is the value of that charge? Well, it's however many electrons you lost or gained. In this case, we gained 1 electron, so it's going to have a negative 1 charge. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So you can do those. And then down here it says, determine the charges of the following elements based on their locations on the periodic table. Learned with the knowledge gained during this lesson. So fluorine, find it on the periodic table. It's right here. It's in group 7A. And you saw over here that group 7A all have a -1 charge. So fluorine is going to have a -1 charge. Okay. Magnesium is over here. It's in group 2A. Every element in group 2A has a +2 charge. So we're going to put +2. Okay, so that one's not too terrible either. All right, now if it's a transition metal, right now it wants you to assume it has a +2 charge. I'll go ahead and tell you that's not always the case, but today we'll just assume that it does. So like zinc, I think you'll need to just give it a +2 charge. Okay. Then part 3, you have these questions down here. I think I've gone over everything you need to know to be able to answer these, and the information up here helps you answer them as well. If you absolutely get stuck, just try your best, okay? If you want to use a web resource to help you figure it out, you can. If you want to email me, that's great too. But as long as you try your best, you're going to get credit for this, okay? So just try your best on these. There will be other opportunities in the future to catch any kind of misconceptions you might have. All right, guys, so fill out these 1, 2, and 3, and I will grade those once you turn them in. If you guys need any help whatsoever, feel free to email me. All right, guys, good luck.